Welcome to the Streets.mn podcast, the show where we highlight how transportation and land use can make our communities better places. Coming to you from beautiful Seward, Minneapolis, Minnesota, I am your host, Ian R. Buck. Today's topic was suggested by a listener. Thanks for writing in, Dave. State legislature recently authorized the city of Anoka to create a social district, an area where people can purchase alcoholic beverages at a bar or brewery and walk around out and about with their drink, even going into other businesses that have opted to allow beverages inside. We couldn't pass up this opportunity for a field trip, so Parker Seamon, who is producing an episode for the very first time, and I hopped on the reverse commute North Star train to spend a Thursday in downtown Anoka. First stop, City Hall, to talk with the staff who are tasked with implementing this program.
My name is Doug Borglund. I'm the city's community development director.
Let's start way at the beginning, the history of this. How did this come about?
Well, Anoka likes to do things out of the box. I mean, we have a pumpkin roundabout, just as an example. And so, we do on-street seating. We do a lot of different things. We like to do things out of the box. And we came across this idea. It was being done in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Michigan during COVID as a way to bring people back downtown. And kind of towards the end of COVID. And North Carolina had just changed their state law to allow cities to be able to do this because it gets involved with liquor liability and things like that. Typically, if you're served an alcoholic beverage, it needs to be consumed on premise in the location where you bought it. That's typically in a brick and mortar building, that type of thing, based on liquor laws and all those and liability and all that fun stuff.
So when you say liability, that means the store itself has some responsibility for
all the rules apply, all the laws apply, but normally when you consume alcohol, you can't, you're not out in the public unless it's so we're always looking at ways, how can we bring activity downtown? How can we, and the area that we've kind of specifically identified as our social district is really what we refer to as our entertainment district, where all our events happen, where all our bars and restaurants are located, that type of thing. And, when we came across this idea, that we started talking with the city council about it. One of our council members started talking with one of our state representatives, Zach Stevenson, about it. So we kind of stole the state statute from North Carolina and put that in Zach's hands, Representative Stevenson's hands. And Zach kind of ran with it. It was incorporated into what was a very large state bill, this omnibus liquor bill, which hadn't been a large liquor bill like that hadn't been with a series of different things in quite a long time. And so it was written into the law that Anoka was able to create a social district with pretty much a similar set of parameters that what was done in North Carolina and other states. And so with that said, we embarked on a journey of creating what is the social district. So we created an ordinance. We created a operational management plan. All that stuff can be found on our city's website with all the information. But we knew going into this that, being a pilot, but we knew if this was successful that most cities with a downtown would want to try to do this. And so we thought when we started working on this that we were going to do this really well, or the best that we could, to set a good example and make it successful.
Do you have to present a report back to the state after the pilot program?
We do. We will be reporting back here. We ran it for a month last fall. And that was just to get our feet wet. And then, so this year was the first full season. So it ran from May through October 6th. So this coming Sunday will be the last day of the season. It'll end with an event called Vintage Fest. And then we also have our pumpkin carving expo, which last year we had the world's largest the world record for largest pumpkin. Here.
Wow.
Yeah.
As the city, right, like, obviously you're going to be writing a report and everything. What are your criteria for success? Like, what are you looking for out of this program?
I mean, for us, drawing more folks to downtown, being able to visit our downtown, recognize the assets that we have. A lot of people who've come downtown to try out the social district, like, I had no idea what Anoka had to offer. I didn't know they had this cool river and a dam and this cool park, and they had all these events and this little historic, cute downtown. So a lot of people have discovered Anoka. Mm-hmm. So we were probably a little bit sleepy in that way. And so the idea, then that's exactly it, is just to bring people downtown, give them something unique and different to experience. And like I said, we like to get out of the box. Yeah. And hopefully people enjoy themselves, make a memory, and they'll come back.
Have you been collecting data about like where folks are coming from?
And
how that's changing?
Yeah, we haven't done a whole lot of that. More, it's, we kind of set the table. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, we kind of manage the social district glass supply with the businesses. We have signs out, we have identification, we have recycling cans everywhere. Mm-hmm. We have, we promote it through our social media means and our other avenues of communication. Otherwise, we just try to support our businesses as well.
You said there's special cups that...
Yeah, there's a social district cup, mm-hmm. and it has...
to clearly mark state. Like that. Yep, I'm allowed to have this drink outside.
And it has to have the social district logo mm-hmm. on it. Drink responsibly, be 21. All those different... So all those
Get
things
good
are...
grades.
Yeah. And it's all in state law. Mm-hmm. What needs to be on the cup.
Okay.
Yeah. And so.
And I understand that the businesses around the social district had the ability to either opt in or opt out of allowing people to walk in and walk out with drinks.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Businesses that are not a bar restaurant serving. So if you're the shoe store or you're an antique shop, we offer window clings mm-hmm. that they can put on their front door that says social district drinks are welcome, or they're not. And it's up to that business owner. And I can understand in some cases, maybe you're selling clothing or things like that, and you don't want someone, spilling something or whatnot. I get that. And then some, like the antique shops, they welcome folks to come in. So it just depends on the business owner and their perspective and probably the products that they're selling.
Yeah. What's like the percentage of businesses that have opted to allow versus not allow?
I don't have a specific percentage, but mm-hmm. I can tell you I think it's more favorable to allow social district beverages mm-hmm. Than not.
How big is the social district?
The district, we have a map. It's mm-hmm. on our website, mm-hmm. But it encompasses the heart of downtown. Mm-hmm. So it's along the river up Second. Yeah, it's along 2nd Avenue, Jackson Street, 1st and 2nd, up to 3rd, and then we go across the street, just across the street, mm-hmm. Along Main Street, and those businesses that front Main Street between 3rd and 1st.
Yeah, and this is already an area that seems pretty like pedestrian friendly.
Correct.
Have you been pairing the social district with any other new treatments for like you mentioned, outdoor seating is already a thing that's been going on here. And,
yeah. We started our outdoor seating program probably 7 years ago, mm-hmm. And it's become very popular with all the businesses. And if I were a business, I would love it because all of a sudden some of the operators have a pretty small space, mm-hmm. and all of a sudden now they can expand their dining room for a period of time. And if it's a beautiful day out, even at lunchtime, there's tons of people eating lunch, just, walking around, that type of thing. A lot of people using the trail by the river, that type of thing. Long term, our plan is to rebuild Jackson Street, but we want to create something that's very similar to, with pavers, and we want to get rid of the curbs and change the drainage so that it's much easier for the businesses, the sidewalks with, or with chairs and tables, and it's just much more of a flexible space. And really just kind of create a really cool, I wouldn't say a pedestrian mall environment, because there will be some traffic at some point.
Yeah.
And then the ability to close it down during events, and with some sort of infrastructure. Yeah. Right now we just use different barricades and things like that to do that. Sure. So if we can build those things in, and maybe even some cool like lighting, like string lighting that goes across to kind of create an environment that's very friendly and welcoming and just kind of part of that entertainment feel. Yeah.
So obviously you haven't written up your report to the state and everything just yet.
No.
But what's the vibe been? Have you noticed like a significant influx of people spending time?
We have seen an increase in activity during the week, especially on days that, maybe we wouldn't. Usually Wednesday nights we have our concerts in the park, which draws quite a few people. For folks to be able to, maybe they go to dinner and then they get their drink and then they walk down to the concert, that type of thing. We've seen an uptick. Just in general activity. But you'll see people, sitting on a bench, or maybe they're just walking along, sipping and strolling, as we've coined the phrase. So I think it's been pretty successful. And people know it's a privilege. And so it really is more of a sip and stroll type of environment. I mean, there's nothing rowdy about it or anything like that.
Yeah. I heard from one of the business owners, like a little bit about the public engagement that you had before opening up so like what efforts did you go through for that process? And then also, have you heard any other feedback from businesses since then?
Yeah, we'll meet with the businesses, after the season's over and kind of summarize how did things go, and then we'll start to talk about next year. And we did that this last fall. So the expansion of the district to the south side of East Main Street came from the businesses, wanting to expand the district a little bit, include those businesses as well. And so we made that change. So we just kind of worked through whatever issues or whatever ideas that people have, and will it work, will it not, can we do it, can we not do it? We just have to work through those things. So it's really a collaborative effort.
Yeah. Do you imagine this being something, assuming that it goes well and the state legislature wants to allow it to keep happening, like, is this something that you're looking to do year round, or is it going to be like a seasonal, just during like the spring to fall kind of?
Yeah, for us right now, it's been spring, May, October. October, we have a lot of, we're the Halloween capital of the world.
So I hear.
So we have a lot of events. And some of those events, like the parade, you can have 30,000, 40,000 people here for the parade in town. And, it might be a little bit too big for us to manage to have that many people. So this year this was our first season, full season. So we did stop at, so the district ends on Saturday, October 6th. Yeah. And then all the Halloween activities for the rest of the month kick in. As far as winter, we haven't really talked about that, but it coincides with the patio season. Yeah. Which seems to make sense. So once the season's over, all activities go back inside. But come May,
which is pretty much the case for like outdoor seating as well. And
Yep. So we kind of paired it up with the patio seating. Nice. It just seemed to make sense.
Awesome. Yeah, Doug, any other major thoughts that you have about the program or anything I didn't?
I think in general, I know there's a lot of interest from other communities, chambers of commerce across the state. I know our chamber executive director gets a lot of calls. asking, other chambers asking, well, how did the city do this? And how did they get this? And whatnot. Now, Stillwater and Shakopee was recent. They recently received approval from the legislature to embark on the same adventure that we did. So
Stillwater makes perfect sense.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see, how they roll out their program and what they do. Their Stillwater will be a little bit more intense than we are. There's a lot of people and a lot of different. There's a lot of activity in downtown Stillwater. Just in general, I mean, and so we'll see what they do. And but I would assume at some point, if things have gone well here, if they go well, and maybe these other two communities, I'm not sure where the state's at.
Sure.
But they were willing to approve 2 additional districts, so I'm not sure if they're thinking, if this all goes well, that it would be a statewide thing or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're going to continue to try to set a good example, and we're blessed with this really cool tool. And again, it sounds very simple, but it's generating a lot of good traffic and new interest and activity, and that's kind of what we set out to do.
Yeah. It's a very it's like a festival vibe, but just like every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. And I think people recognize that. And they're, like I said, I mean, we haven't had any issues. I mean, if you spoke with our PD or,
right.
I mean, there hasn't, when it comes to the social district piece, there hasn't been any issues on our end, or issues with trash or cleanup or anything. I mean, it's gone really well.
Awesome. Yeah. Doug, thanks for chatting with us.
Sure.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Anytime.
Next up, let's talk with some of the businesses that serve alcohol.
Yeah, my name's Jacob Niemeier. I am one of the brewers at 10K who oversees brewing operations, and I'm also a bartender, split part-time for each, making a full-time position. Been here about 3.5 years at 10K Brewing, and kind of see all sides of the business a little bit.
Yeah. So describe, what does that business look like? What is the interaction between customers and the business?
Yeah, so the brew house is in the tap room. You guys saw when you walked through, the brew house is visible. Anybody who comes in can see that. So even when we're brewing during the workday, if we open early enough, customers can, they're able to even ask us questions while we're working, so we can kind of interact with them as brewers. But then also when they come in for our bartending, we've got our tap room. We also have this side room on the other side of the building called the Empire Room, where people can rent for events. It's like a nice event space for bands too. But then we also have our outside patio. And then, people can come get some good craft beer, some snacks. We'll be opening a kitchen in the springtime. So we're going to be adding full food menu also. Until the kitchen opens up, people can bring their dogs in as well. So all the pups are welcome. And kid and family friendly also.
Nice. Are you one of those breweries that also has a bunch of board games sitting around?
We've got some board games. Bring your own deck of cards, but we've got board games and cribbage boards and all that too, yeah.
Nice, yeah. So large indoor space, a lot going on.
Yeah.
How has that factored into the social district, interacting with the business?
Yeah. Especially in the summertime when things get pretty cramped outside and inside, gotta get shoulder to shoulder drinking seasons when the weather's nice, right? You see as a bartender, a lot of times people are coming in groups, families, couples. Not everyone's a beer drinker. No one's gonna shame them for not liking beers, but sometimes spouses are stuck sitting with their partners, while they drink a beer and they're having a water. And, ideally, we want everybody to enjoy their time together downtown. When the social district started, this really was a big opportunity for people in groups to come out. They can all go get what they want because all the bars are participating downtown Anoka. They can go get what they want and they can meet up at the park. You can walk all the way up the river, go see the dam, walk the streets and talk, hang out, bring your dogs on walks. And so it's really like people don't have to pick and choose where they go now. Of course, they can't bring their alcohol into our business, but they could be on our patio as long as they're buying from us. But yeah, people don't have to pick and choose. And even some stores are participating downtown, and people can shop and have a drink while they go about their shopping for, like, especially antiques in this area. So
right.
It's kind of nice.
It lessens the pressure on your business to, like, be everything for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we don't offer wine and liquor, but if somebody absolutely hates beer and, sadly we can't offer those things to them at this time, then yeah, go get your wine, go get your Jack Cokes, and then come hang out with the rest of your group at the brewery. So
nice.
Yeah.
So how have you thought it's been going? This is our first year. Briefly last fall, I hear, but like this is the first full season with the social district. How's it been going?
It's been going really well. Last year was a month-long trial, like you said, and half the weekends were rainy. So it was kind of a weird sample month to pull from, but I'm really glad they instituted it this year. As a brewery, people aren't really coming to our place to get wasted. They're coming to chill and hang out and have a couple beers, and then they move on to the next place, later in the night. Like, we don't see a lot of craziness going on. People are usually having a good time. And I think we're all pretty cognizant, before the social district, of people, over consuming alcohol downtown. And so hasn't really changed how we treat the customers. We really haven't had to limit too many people drinking, like, because of overconsumption. So it's been good for us. I think we get more people coming in and more people, like, maybe if somebody's not a wine drinker and they can get a beer, so I think it's been good for us. Seems busy. People are excited about it. People are sharing that with their friends and getting more visitors from out of state and visitors from within the state too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has seemed busier than in past years, or how is it compared?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Hard to gauge that. Every year's, it's hard to find a trend.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. It's hard to find trends. Every year is different. So.
Right. Yeah. Anecdote is not the singular of data, right?
Yeah. Especially after, even 4 years after lockdown, we're still seeing the effects of people being at home for almost a year, People don't want to leave home unless you've got lots of options where they're going to go, because at home you got everything. So I think this kind of helps with that too, because people, don't want to leave home if it's just going to be beer available,
right.
And so they can go and get other things as well and still hang out with the people they want to hang out with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When I think about, like, places like the Renaissance Festival or the State Fair, right,
Yeah.
where it's like, this is not a town, it is a manufactured, like, destination for people to go and hang out for a while, right? They succeed because they have, like, a wide variety of things, right? You've got the stage comedy shows, you've got the arts and crafts, storefronts, and
Yep.
and everything is there within, like, a walkable distance. How do you feel that downtown Anoka kind of fares in that regard? You were talking about a variety of different drink options, but also, like, is there a variety of different types of activities and things to do?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, throughout the summer, and the city's really stepped up because of the social district too. They've really expanded, what street entertainment's going to look like. So there are opportunities for buskers to come and sing on those corners. There's music in the park north of the city building here. And then throughout the summer already, what's been going on in Anoka, I feel like at least once or twice a month on the weekends, there's events where the streets get shut down, and they have, like, Vintage Fest coming up soon, and they've got lots of different street events. And so it's not just, drinks and food. There's music, and then there's, I think at one point there's like a semi-pro wrestling group that comes through, and they set up in the parking lot. And so, lots of different interesting things that people can, come see in addition to the food and drink. So
yeah.
I'm from out of state, and coming to Anoka, it kind of had this reputation as being a little weird and a little out there, and you definitely see some interesting things, but then with these events, there's some interesting groups coming through too to showcase whatever they do.
Yeah.
But I love it, so yeah, it's been good. I think it's kind of cool that Anoka's the first place in the state to have a social district like this, and already there's some other towns that are looking to mimic what we've done here. I think Stillwater was one of them, kind of known for being a bar hopping area already. But I think there's nothing better than being able to be outside, and if people are being responsible with their drinks, why not, especially in a safe area. If you're listening to this, then reach out to your city council members and let them know that you support it, or tell them what you think about it, because the more information they get from constituents, the better too. So, yeah.
That's the kind of call to action that our listeners definitely take.
Yeah, you got to get involved with local government, and that's where your voice has the most effect on, your local landscape. So I'm always pushing people to reach out. Even if you're just congratulating them on something, or you just say, hey, I really like this, and that's it, let your representatives know. So,
sweet.
Yeah.
Jacob, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm Jackie Young. I am at McGillicuddy's in Anoka. I'm the owner.
Sweet.
Along with my husband, but he's not here.
Sure. So, social district, obviously, a business that serves alcohol is the main focus of that, right? When they brought this idea to you, what was your first reaction to it?
I really didn't have a big reaction to it because it was kind of already a little bit happening, but they just wanted to kind of make it a little bit legal, I guess. People, I think they consider, because we're such a small town, downtown area, that they can just kind of walk around with their drinks and stuff, but we do have a lot of big events. We do have a lot of shopping down here, and I think they wanted to make it legal enough to where people can walk around, go drinking, go sit in the park, go hang out by the dam, or go shopping, or just kind of just walk around. And walk around with our big events to make it legal for that way.
Yeah, because I heard that you've been doing outdoor seating and stuff like that for quite a few years before this. So when you have a social district and, folks can buy a drink anywhere and walk around anywhere within the district, that kind of changes the way that you as the owner have to think about how am I going to attract people into the business, right? Because, if somebody's here for an event that's outside and they want to buy a drink, they don't have to, think about am I going to be hanging out in the business where I'm buying a drink for a while? So how did that change the way that you approached?
Well, lucky for us, we're a very tiny bar, so it's also very nice that people can come in and buy a drink and they can leave more revenue for us that way.
Yeah.
When there's events downtown Anoka, people love events down here. It's packed, it's busy, so I'm not worried about not filling my bar seats because people are going to be here no matter what. So, not worried about that at all.
Well, I mean, it sounds like, having a small space, you really benefit from the existence of the social district.
Yes,
more than a place that would have a very, very large indoor space. Yeah.
I benefit quite well from it, so. The city had shut down the streets in July every weekend for a month, and we did karaoke and yard games out in the street, and it turned out very, very well. We wanted to continue it through the end of September, or the end of Labor Day, but the city had other plans, so not all businesses were on board for us shutting down the street for a few hours during the day, but we kind of worked through it, and hopefully next year we can start fresh back up again, because it was a trial run of things, what we could do outside, and it turned out well, and hopefully we can continue to do that next year.
Yeah. What are your hopes for the future if this program keeps going?
I think the program will keep going. I think because we have not had any negative feedback about it. The only thing that for us is training the customers. If they purchase a drink from one bar, they cannot walk into our bar with that drink. And that's the hardest part, but if you sit down and kind of explain it to people and they're like, oh, okay, because a lot of people don't know. A lot of it's just training the customers.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's a brand new thing for all of us.
Yeah. And I think once that gets down, I think it'll be good.
So I imagine that along those lines, like, if we start having social districts in many other cities, then people are going to be much more familiar with the concept overall. Have you been having a lot of, like, is it mostly local customers, or is it a lot of people coming in from other places?
It's a lot of local customers, and it's a lot of people that come down to downtown Anoka, because I think a lot of people didn't know about Anoka until we started the social district, because it was all over the news. And I mean, me 12 years ago, I didn't know Anoka was here and had this small, vibrant downtown. And coming down here, this was the place, because I like to bar hop, so this is a perfect place for us, people that like to bar hop. They like to go. It's a perfect place that people want to come and eat food, go shopping, and kind of just hang out outside.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you from then?
I'm from St. Paul.
Okay, nice. Same.
Okay.
Imagine that. You're from St. Paul and you started an Irish pub here.
I found it on Craigslist, so.
There we go. Yeah, Jackie, any other thoughts about the project that I haven't asked?
I don't think so. It'll be exciting to see what the other cities get to do when they start their social district, because I know a lot of people have been wanting, like, Stillwater and Shakopee, I think I heard, and I think Alexandria wants to do it now too. So a lot of small towns, I think, want to do it.
Sweet. Yeah.
Hopefully it brings people to downtown. Downtowns everywhere.
Indeed. Jackie, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks.
And finally, we'll chat with a couple of businesses that do not serve alcohol. One of them allows beverages inside, and one does not.
My name is Mario Jackson.
And we're here in the Amore antique shop, right?
Yes, we are.
What's your position here?
I am a dealer here.
Sweet. So you are right across the street from several breweries and bars and stuff right here in the social district. And you're one of the businesses that does allow folks to bring in drinks, right?
Yes, we do.
Sweet. So how has that been going?
It's been going good. I find it to be very social. I see people coming in with their drinks, kind of laughing, joking, communicating with the staff, and I haven't seen any major problem with it so far. So far so good.
Yeah. What is the what was the decision making process, when the owners decided, whether or not they wanted to put that green sticker on the window or not?
I believe the owner here at Amore, his name is Brandon. He was a part of the Discover Anoka.
Okay.
And so he was a big part of kind of making the social thing happen. He's a bubbly guy, really cool, kind of laid back, kind of like to have fun. So I think it was a easy, decision from him, just me knowing him for the time I've been knowing him. Yep.
I feel like you kind of have to be a fun person in order to run an antique shop, right?
I agree. I definitely agree. And that is him. He's full of life, so I like it. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, have you noticed, has there been a significant uptick in the number of people here in town and coming to the shop and stuff?
I can say honestly, I think it has. I think it does open up a little bit more foot traffic, and people wanting to get out and have date night and get to walk around and shop and have a beverage in their hand. Yeah. And I think it does spike it up a little bit.
Do people does this loosen up their decision making process and when they're shopping?
It can influence a little bit. It can definitely have some influence in it. So we like to see it. I mean, as long as people are being responsible. And,
Sure.
Just not trying to spill over. We're good with it.
Yeah. Is there a correlation between do craft beer drinkers, do they like the antiques more?
Yeah, I haven't pinpointed that yet. I am an observant guy, but I haven't pinpointed that. But I think just overall people are having fun and just seeing the smiles on people's faces when they're coming in, and that's what we like to see, and and the responsible part. Just being responsible, and that's what we like,
Yeah. Has it changed any of the strategies that the store uses to try and get folks to come in and check things out?
Not really. We just, like I said, when we put that green sticker in there, we just, we just letting people know that, we don't mind you coming in and having a good time. And I think people, they see that, and they, it drives them in a little bit, They see that, we're willing to have a little fun, and so I think the sticker alone kind of, makes people feel comfortable about coming in, you know.
So the kind of the public engagement leading up to the social district being implemented, and you mentioned the owner was part of the, you called it Discover Anoka, right?
Discover Anoka.
What were some of the ways that the project kind of evolved over time, you know?
I think just from what I've heard from him, because I'm not involved with the whole thing, so I can't really, you know, go too far in it, but from what I've heard, I think they kind of just gathered around from the business owners and kind of just, you know, all came together, and seeing that Anoka has just been a rise, and thinking that would bring a lot more, you know, more foot traffic, you know, and just, you know, more stuff to do, and in a place like this where it's community based and just fun people. I think it just helped to make people lay back and you know, come out and just have a good time, you know. So I think the process was from the outside looking in, I think it was pretty easy for them to, you know, come up with this, and I'm glad they did. It's like I said, it's really brought out a lot of foot traffic and a lot of smiles, you know. And so,
when I think about having like a group outing, you know, and you've got a variety of different people, you know, you have maybe like 5 people, and there's 6 different interests, right? You know, in the group. An antique store seems like it's like well positioned to take advantage, you know, like there's a variety of different things here in the store. It's always a good like group destination, you know, because everybody can kind of look at the different kinds of stuff that they like.
It is, and we like when we see a group come in and, you know, they're socializing and they're laughing, and then they start, you know, we have a couple over here and a couple over here, and they're kind of going back and forth, you know, kind of talking to each other from the different, you know, the aisles and stuff like that, and just having a good time, and we just like seeing it, and it puts smiles on our faces, and just having the families come in and, you know, in groups, and just having fun, you know. So
if folks come to Anoka and they want to check out, you know, the antique shop, what's one thing that you think everybody should check out here?
You know what? I think we have 60 amazing dealers in here, and we all bring our own small, unique flavor, you know. And so I think as a whole, it just makes Amori, and we're very family based. Everyone in here, we positive attitudes. And it makes it easy when you have that atmosphere, you know, and you have a great owner on top of that, a leader, you know, it just kind of puts the icing on the cake, you know.
Sweet. Mario, any other final thoughts that I didn't ask about?
Well, I'd just like a little bit on the bragging note about Amori. We've been the #1 antique shop in downtown Anoka for the last 3 years, and we just want to continue to, you know, keep uplifting the community and bringing smiles in the door. And we like to see the youth come in, and, you know, hopefully see them 10 years later, and you know, and say, hey, I've been coming here, and we like to see that, and we want to continue this family build that we have. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
My name is Brian Glenn, and I'm the store manager for Schmidt Music Anoka.
So Schmidt Music is one of a handful of storefronts that we've seen around that has the red sticker in the window. Can you, I guess, describe what the store is, you know, and then also, like, how did that play into the decision to have a red sticker instead of a green sticker? Sure.
It's a music store. Our main focus is on band and orchestra instruments, along with electronic keyboards, and our main customer base, it would be like school music groups, band and orchestra, and, you know, piano students, rather than, and not there's anything wrong with but rather than electric guitar and bass and drums. So so it tends to be, a lot of times we'll have families coming in, and this is something that I ran by the people higher up at the company, as far as asking them about, well, what do you think? What should be our stance on that? Or here's our choices as far as having drinks permitted, no drinks permitted, and they said, well, probably just to be on the safe side, just have no drinks permitted. They weren't really concerned about any problems, and neither was I. I mean, I wasn't really concerned about it, but just to keep it safe. I think we've had a couple times where people have walked in here with things, and it's like as long as you're not causing trouble, well, it's not a big deal. But
Right. The focus of the space is not to be a social space the way that, like, say, a record store is, right?
right. So although we do get some of that here too, where people are just they'll come in to look at printed music or sit down and sometimes play on one of the keyboards, and that's fine. So it can be kind of a social space, but then also something where it's a little more specific as far as the customer
Right.
base that we're looking for.
Right. Do you see much like spontaneous foot traffic that comes in interested in purchasing instruments? Like that seems like kind of an unusual thing.
Right. I mean, we do see some of that, but just because sometimes people will walk by and they'll say, "Oh, there's a music store here," and they'll stop in, and sometimes we'll get people stop in and they'll say, "Well, my spouse is over looking at this and this, so I'm just killing time, so I thought I'd stop in here, and this looked more interesting than where they were." So.
Yeah. And you mentioned that not only do you work here at this store, but you also live here in Anoka, so
Right.
you've gotten to see the effects of the social district just as a citizen. So what are your thoughts and feelings on it from that perspective?
I haven't noticed any problems at all, and I know quite a few of the people that work downtown also, and I haven't heard any reports of any people causing trouble or anything. I mean, I remember when this was first proposed that there were a lot of people predicting that there'd be there'd be drunken brawls in the streets, and absolutely nothing like that has happened. I think the worst thing might be that their people wouldn't dispose of their cups properly, so they might just leave them sitting on, I think maybe once or twice I found one sitting on the ledge outside the store there instead of throwing it away or recycling it. But yeah, I haven't seen any problems, anywhere or heard about any.
So are you, do you hang out in downtown very often, just like chilling at any of the establishments?
Right, I do. I spend there's 10K Brewing just across the way there, where that's so close, and so I spend a fair amount of time there, and talking to the workers there that they haven't had any problems, but it doesn't seem like they've had that many people taking advantage of the social district. If people get a beer and they'll go sit outside, and that's fine, but then it hasn't been maybe used as much as it could have been, but certainly hasn't been any problems.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on the social district that I haven't asked about?
No, other than I hope it continues, because it's been kind of for those that have taken advantage of it. It seems like it's been a fun thing to be able to do, and if somebody doesn't want to take advantage of that, then it really doesn't have much effect on them. I mean, as I said, I don't think I haven't taken advantage of it yet, so this might be my weekend to do that.
It's your last chance for the season. So,
yes,
yeah.
That's right.
All right, Brian, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
To finish off, let's hear from Pete Turok, who's the president of the Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce. Give people just kind of a little background on what is a Chamber of Commerce. Like, is this a government entity? Is this a private corporation that's boosting the community? Yeah.
So it is a 501c6 nonprofit. It is by business for business. So we're one of the oldest chambers in the state of Minnesota, started back in 1952. And in fact, October is our fiscal. So we just turned 72 years old on October 1st. One of the largest chambers, 600 plus business members. So we have a board of directors that runs us. They are business people. We promote our member communities, of which there are 8, and our member businesses. So the bottom line is that if it's good for business, we're in, whether that's transportation related. Nothing against any other of the communities in the state of Minnesota, but we'd love for everybody to live in our 8 cities, do business here, set up shop, raise their families. And so our job is to pump and promote and do what we can to help those member businesses.
So which are the 8 that you cover?
So the 8 cities are Andover, Anoka, Champlin, Coon Rapids, Oak Grove, Nowden, Ramsey, St. Francis. So it's a good little northern suburb chunk. It started back in 52 with Anoka and Champlin, who always had that common bond because of the Mississippi River and bridging between it. And from there, it has grown.
Nice. We want to chat about the Anoka Social District. This was the pilot year following a very brief month-long thing last fall, I understand. And in order for this to happen, this required the state to authorize the city of Anoka to do this. Where did this idea come from? Was this kind of a bottom-up, the community bringing it to their state legislator, or did somebody at the state level have this idea and were they looking for a community to do this?
I believe it started community and went up. I could be wrong there because this thing just kind of, it happened from the standpoint of some discussions. And then it was quiet for a while, and then all of a sudden it popped on a legislative level. Anoka became the first city in the state to be able to do it. We were kind of the guinea pig, the test market. But I believe that it was just some discussion on a local level, and from there, she blossomed.
Given that you have kind of a regional picture, right, of not just what the business is within downtown Anoka. I mean, there's Anoka and then there's downtown Anoka, right? It's like, and then you have 7 other municipalities that are also members of your Chamber of Commerce.
Downtown Anoka is a different animal. There's no question about that.
For sure. Has there been a lot of interest from any businesses in any of the other cities or in other parts of Anoka to get this kind of thing going?
Really, because it was always talked as really a selected area within downtown. I haven't really heard anything beyond the businesses that were affected here. And as this started to be discussed and it started to zero in about, okay, here's the areas, here's how this thing could look. A lot of interest from business because it was new and we're just looking for answers to questions that they had. Wasn't in opposition or anything. It was just, okay, how does this look and how would this affect me? And let's just see how it goes. So I haven't really heard from anybody outside the Anoka area at all on this, although I will say that as this is now opened up to 2 other communities with Stillwater and Shakopee, immediately got some calls from some of those business people, some of those chambers going, how'd it go? What did you do? And just tons of questions. And all the questions that honestly the chamber had and the city had as this thing started to come together here in Anoka.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I think about like the appeal of this kind of social district, as a customer, it's like, if I were visiting a strip mall, somewhere outside of downtown, do I want to grab a drink and then walk around? Not really.
No. And honestly, I think that's a big reason why we haven't heard a lot about it. It really is a unique situation for a unique business area where businesses are more combined together. I mean, my God, the bar restaurants we have within a 2-block area, is tremendous. And that's why it was, I think, first discussed and why it started and why it's working here.
When I was walking around on Thursday and looking at the buildings in the area and realizing that like that one city block that has like 10K Brewing and it's got the Irish pub whose name I cannot pronounce.
McGillicuddy's.
Yeah, there you go. That one block appears to just be a single building that that all of those different businesses operate out of, and it's such a dense shared space with all of these businesses like facing towards the street front, and they're all very accessible from a pedestrian standpoint. And
it goes back to the late 1800s, and the reality is there's 3 different buildings. They call it the bank block because there was a major bank on the corner that's onto the Main Street side, but the back 2 where McGillicuddy's is and then Omby Wine Bar may at some point have been one, but I know that those are two separate entities in the respect. And you find that in the old towns. I mean, this is Mayberry, this is Lake Wobegon, and we'll take all of that stuff because it's unique and it makes us different than the strips and the other scenarios that you have out there. Because you can't create that. You can't create old. You can try, but old takes time. And Anoka's had it since the late 1800s.
What has your personal relationship been with the social district? Do you hang out in downtown and, peruse around?
Well, I'm not a drinker, but it's I hang around and down here just because, number one, I'm the chamber president. Number two, it's just cool to be down here. And number three, I did probably a little bit more than normal, especially this year, just because that initial test was about a month, and we learned a few things, but not a lot. This was the real test of how this thing was going to go. Plus, we put on a major event here in the middle of July called Anoka Riverfest and Craft Fair. And one of the main reasons why this social district was even discussed was 4 big events like that. And we just recently finished up Anoka Vintage Fest, where people would have that opportunity in a setting like that, where going block to block really made some sense. And so, trust me, I've been down here. We've been watching, plus the food's tremendous at all of these restaurants. Yeah. But I've had a special eye out on it this past summer, just to continue to talk to business people, get feedback, whether they're in the business of selling alcohol or not, because those businesses that aren't still have the opportunity with a sign they can put up at their window saying, yes, you can walk in with that beverage, or we'd rather you not. And so just kind of monitoring the whole thing. And to be honest, it's been good. I thought there could be some issues, and it just has not been in play. It's been good.
Yeah. I was very struck by the fact that, like, pretty much every business that I talked to on Thursday, they either told me it's been great, or they said, I haven't had any problems. Like, yeah. which is such a funny response when I haven't asked specifically, like, did you have any problems? But I think everybody had this sense that, like, oh, everybody who's coming here asking questions about this is wondering, like, do you have drunken, disorderly people, like, just, wandering around all the time?
Sure. And for everybody, I mean, it was the great unknown. Mm-hmm. We just didn't know, And so everybody just kind of sat back and said, all right, let's see what happens, and let's continue to have the discussions with the city on this thing. And again, I heard and continue to hear from the beginning until today, the same thing you've heard. And I am constantly asking the question, because if there's issues, we need to hear about it and work through them and kind of figure them out. So no, it's been solid, and that's great. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. Now that I've, like, experienced it, I went to Vintage Fest. I was there in the morning, so there weren't a whole lot of people walking around with drinks. But it struck me that, like, wait, why haven't we been allowing people to buy a beverage and walk around with a beverage at an event like this? It just, like, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And, like, of course, there are other mechanisms to deal with people who are being disorderly, but preventing them from purchasing a beverage at an establishment right there is not going to stop anybody from being disorderly if they're going to do that,
Exactly. Two very different issues. You're right. But when you say the word alcohol and you just don't know, and that's what's great about the way this thing has gone. And I will guarantee you, okay, so Shakopee and Stillwater are up next. What small town, what town that has a scenario in an area where this could work would not want it?
Right.
And I just see this thing opening up. And again, the state's done it right, baby stepping this thing. All right, Let's see how it goes. Let's not just open the flood and let it go. I see it everywhere. If a city wants it, and that city council is in a position where they can make those decisions, I believe that they will. I think that this thing's going to rock big time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, Stillwater, what a perfect, next step, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And you've got your Red Wings and your 50th in France and Edina's and Hopkins. And I mean, there's just, The strip centers, no. And freestandings, no. They've got a patio area, and there's nobody that's going to go from there to the Verizon store.
Right.
It's just not that big a deal. But for those cities that have this option, I see it coming.
Yeah.
And why not?
Well, and I mean, saying that it's not really an appealing use case for like a strip mall, like, does that mean that we should disallow it in a strip mall? No,
Yeah.
It probably just means like, why not allow it? And like, if nobody takes you up on it in that area, fine, whatever.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And we didn't know as this thing headed in, because it was really about event based, but with a lot of the businesses, and you saw that when you came down, where, the restaurants have the option to go out into the parking stalls in front of their business. And so we had that outdoor scenario. They do the concerts in the park, the city of Anoka does. So that's a place where, number one, you can get a beverage down there from the Lions Club, but you could have one at another establishment and walk down. But the day-to-day, and that's why it's a spring to fall scenario. I mean, in the middle of January, is somebody going to buy a drink at one bar, walk a block to go to the next one, and they have to have that drink in their hand? No, and that's why it's really meant for that spring to fall. People are going to be outside, and let's go. But you're right. I mean, anybody who wants to try this, go for it.
It seemed so normal. It makes me wonder, why, what was the point of having a law in the first place to right. disallow? It's so easy to put a law like that on the books, and then it takes us a long time to go through a pilot program to test and see is it okay if we if we take away this restriction? Yeah.
Right. No, it's baby steps, and that's just the nature of the beast. It's a scenario that it's probably better to take it slower, just so that, if issues do arise or what comes up, so that model can be created that's gone through those growing pains of it. And so that as it rolls out, because let's face it, it's going to be copy and repeat. Mm-hmm. Stillwater and Shakopee people are extremely intelligent people, and it's looking at that model and go, okay, well, if it worked, let's go. And so once the initial, which is what we're at now, gets done, that's what I said earlier, I just think this thing rolls. You've got the model, the legislative body, I believe, will be happy with what they've seen from this and any questions they may have had. And I know that the city of Anoka has a report that they need to put together to get in front of the legislature, which will be happening. But that report is going to be pretty solid. And I think that any fears that any legislators may have as this moves forward, they're going to look at this and go, hey, so far so good. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine that Shakopee is going to have unique problems that Anoka didn't,
Right.
And so, that base model is working, and I think it'll be easy for that legislative body to roll this thing out on a much larger scale and quickly compared to maybe slower.
All right, Pete, any other final thoughts about the social district that we haven't touched on yet?
No, it's been a great experiment. It's been a great experience, and I'm crossing my fingers. So far, so good, and I wish Shakopee and Stillwater the best of luck. I know it will go well there. They've got some great people in play from chambers up through the cities. But from an Anoka standpoint, I think on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10.
Awesome. Pete, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Streets.mn podcast. The show is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, non-commercial, non-derivative license, so feel free to republish the episode as long as you are not altering it and you're not profiting from it. The music in this episode is by Eric Brandt and the Urban Hillbilly Quartet. This episode was produced by Parker Seamon, aka Strongthany, edited by Jeremy Winter, and was hosted and transcribed by me, Ian R. Buck. We're always looking to feature new voices on the Streets.mn podcast, so if you have ideas for future episodes, drop us a line at podcast@streets.mn. Streets.mn is a community blog and podcast and relies on contributions from audience members like you. If you can make a one-time or recurring donation, you can find more information about doing so at streets.mn/donate. Find other listeners and discuss this episode on your favorite social media platform using the hashtag StreetsMNPodcast. Until next time, take care.
That's a 10.